September 29th, 1900, Volume 4. The victim's souls are supports and props for Jesus. I went through several days of silence between Jesus and me, and was scarce suffering. At the most it seems he wanted to continue tempting me, to make me exercise a little bit more patience. And here is how. On coming, he would say, "My beloved, I long for you from heaven. In heaven I wait for you." And he would escape like a flash. Then coming back, he would repeat, "Cease your ardent sighs now, for you make me languish continuously, to the point of fainting." Other times, "Your ardent love, your yearnings, are refreshment for my sad heart." But who can say them all? It seemed to me that he was feeling like composing verses, and sometimes he would express these verses by singing them, however, without giving me the time to say a word. He would escape immediately. Then this morning, as the confessor placed the intention of having me suffer the crucifixion, I saw the Queen Mamma crying, and almost contending with Jesus, in order to spare the world so many scourges. But he showed himself reluctant, and only to content Mamma, he concurred in making me suffer. Then afterwards, as if he had placated himself a little, he said, "My daughter, it is true that I want to chastise the world. I have the lashes in my hands with which to beat it. But it is also true that if both you and the confessor interest yourself with praying me and with suffering, that is always a support, and you would come to place as many props in order to spare the world, in part at least. Otherwise, not finding any supports or props, I will pour myself out with a free hand over the people." Having said this, he disappeared. September 29, 1912, Volume 11. The divine will in Jesus is the center, the life, and the origin of everything in him. Jesus is the one who disposes the intentions of one who lives in his will, in whatever he does. Only Jesus is enough for him, while earthly things do not attract his will. So if he eats, it is only according to the will of God. I am writing of past things. I was thinking to myself, the Lord spoke to some about his passion, to some about his heart, to some others about his cross, and many more things. I would like to know which soul has been favored the most by Jesus. My adorable Jesus came and told me, "My daughter, do you know who has been most favored by me? The soul to whom I manifested the prodigies and the power of my most holy will. All other things are parts of me, while my will is the center, the life, and the holder of everything. My will directed my passion, gave life to my heart, and exalted the cross. My will understands everything, catches everything, and activates everything. My will is greater than anything. As a consequence, the one to whom I spoke about my will has been the most favored, about everyone and everything. How much you should thank me for having admitted you to the secrets of my volition. Even more, the one who is in my will is also in my passion. She is my heart. She is all the beauty of my cross, and she is my very redemption. Nothing dissimilar exists between us. Therefore, I want you completely in my will, if you want to take part in my goods. Another time I was thinking about what would be the best way to offer our actions, our prayers, and so forth, whether as reparations, adorations, and so forth. My always benign Jesus told me, "My daughter, one who lives in my will and does her things because I want it so, does not need to dispose her intentions. Since she is in my will, as she operates, prays, or suffers, I myself dispose these things the way I please. Do I like the reparation? I placed them for reparation. Do I like love? I take them as love. Being the owner, I make of them whatever I please. It is not so for those who are not in my will. They dispose, and I respect their will." Another day, having read in a book about a saint who first had almost no need of food, and then needed to feed herself very often, her necessity being such that she would cry if they didn't give her something, I remained concerned, thinking about my state, since once I used to take very little food, and I was forced to bring it up, and now I take more and I don't bring it up. And I was saying to myself, "Blessed Jesus, how is this? I consider this a mortification for me. My wickedness leads me to these miseries." And Jesus came and told me, "My daughter, do you want to know why? I am here to make you content. At the beginning, in order to render a soul completely mine, to empty her of all that is of the senses, and place into her all that is celestial and divine, I detach her even from the necessity of food, in such a way that she almost doesn't need it. So the soul rises high, neglecting and ignoring everything. Her life is celestial. After I have trained her well, for years and years, no longer fearing that the senses might shade her, since after the soul has tasted the heavenly, it is almost impossible that she might appreciate earthly things, which are nothing other than mud and slime, I give her back to ordinary life, because I want my children to take part in the things that I created for love of them, but according to my will, not to theirs. It is only for love of these children that I am forced to feed the others. Further, since many use natural goods with attachment and not according to my will, it is for me the most beautiful reparation to see these souls who, like celestial children, take the necessary things with sacrifice, detachment, and according to my will. How can you say that there is wickedness in you for this? Not at all. What's the evil of taking, in my will, a little more or a little less of what is nothing other than an earthly thing? Nothing. Nothing. There cannot be any evil in my will, but always good, even in the most insignificant things. September 29, 1931, Volume 29, Growth of the Creature Before the Divine Majesty. The living in the divine will is gift that God will give to the creature. I was doing my round in the divine will in order to follow its many acts done for love of us, and as I arrived at Eden, I paused in that act in which God created man. What solemn moments! What ardor of love! So that act can be called a most pure, complete, substantial, never interrupted act of divine love. Therefore man was formed, had his origin, was born, in the love of his Creator. It was right that he should grow as though kneaded and breathed upon, like a little flame, by the breath of the one who so much loved him. But while I was thinking of this, My most sweet Jesus, visiting my little soul, told me, "My daughter, the creation of man was nothing other than an outpouring of our love, but so great that he could not receive it all within himself, not having the capacity to be able to enclose in his interior an act of he who was issuing him to the light. So our act remained inside and outside of him, that it might serve him as nourishment in order to grow before he who with so much love had created him, and who so much loved him. And since it was not only our love that poured out in creating man, but all of our divine qualities, therefore the power, the goodness, the wisdom, the beauty, and so forth, poured out. So our love was not content with loving him, but pouring out all of our divine qualities, it left the table always prepared and at man's disposal, so that each time he wanted to, he would come to sit at this celestial table to nourish himself with our goodness, power, beauty, love, and wisdom, and so grow before us with our same divine qualities, with the model of our likeness. And each time he came into our presence to take our sips of our divine qualities, we would rock him on our knees to let him take rest, and let him digest what he had taken, so that he might again nourish himself of our divine outpourings, to form his complete growth of goodness, of power, of sanctity, of beauty, as our love desired and our will wanted. When we do a work, our love is so great that we give and prepare everything, so that nothing may be lacking to our creative work. We do complete works, never by half, and if it seems that something is missing, it is the part of the creature who does not take everything that we have put out for her good and for our glory. Then I continued to think about the divine will, and my beloved Jesus added, "My daughter, the living in my will is a gift that we give to the creature, great gift that surpasses in value, in sanctity, in beauty, and in happiness all other gifts, in an infinite and unreachable way. When we give this gift so great, we do nothing other than open the doors to make her the possessor of our divine possessions, the place in which passions, dangers, have no more life, nor can any enemy harm her or do her evil. This gift confirms the creature in good, in love, in the very life of her Creator, and the Creator remains confirmed in the creature. Therefore the inseparability takes place between one and the other. With this gift, the creature will feel her lot changed, from poor to rich, from ill to perfectly healed. From unhappy, she will feel that all things change for her into happiness. To live in our will as gift greatly differs from doing it. The first is prize, and our decision to win the creature with an invincible and irresistible force, to fill the human will with our own in a sensible way, in a way that she will touch with her own hand, and with clarity, the great good that comes to her, such that only someone who is insane would flee from such a great good. In fact, for as long as the soul is a pilgrim one, the doors do not close behind the gift, but remain open, so that freely, not being forced, she may live in our gift. More so, since our will not give this gift by necessity, but because it loves her, and it is fully her own. On the other hand, to do our will is not prize, but duty and necessity, to which willingly or unwillingly she must submit. And the things that are done out of duty and out of necessity, if they can be shunned, are shunned, because in them does not enter the spontaneous love that makes one love and recognize our will as worthy of being loved and known. The necessity hides its good that it contains, and makes one feel the weight of the sacrifice and of the duty. On the other hand, the living in our will is not sacrifice, but conquest. It is not duty, but love. She feels in our gift her own self dissolved within it, and she loves it not only as our will, but also because it is exclusively hers, and by not giving it the first place, the regime, the dominion, she would not love herself. Now, my daughter, this is what we want to give to creatures, our will as gift, because by looking at it and possessing it as one's own thing, it will turn out easy to let it form its kingdom. This gift was given to man in Eden, and ungrateful, he rejected it back to us. But we did not change our will. We keep it reserved, and what one rejects, with more surprising graces, we keep prepared to give it to others. Nor do we care about the time, because centuries for us are like one single point. However, great preparations are needed on the part of creatures to know the great good of the gift in order to long for it. But the time will come when our will be possessed as gift by the creature. End of September 29th. Fiat.